everybody. Welcome to the Talking Heartland podcast. And this is a show where we have recapped every single episode of the Heartland show. And we are talking about season 18, episodes 7 and 8. So we're nearing the finish line. I can't even believe it. Seems like it just started. but but today I have a special guest with me. Our friend Micah is here to help me recap. And thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Yeah, of course. It's always a pleasure. My rare appearance is just popping up here and there to help you whenever. Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the season 18 so far? Were you as down on 17 as kind of we were? We weren't that thrilled with it. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought 17 was kind of like a weird season because I feel like there wasn't really like an overarching plot throughout, and it was just kind of like one-off episodes. And I'm not as big of a fan of those. Like, it's okay if there's like one per season, but what I liked about this season is that there actually is an overarching plot that they like carry throughout with like this beef wars and the Amy and Nathan relationship. And I like how the whole family is involved too in it.
Hmm.
And it's not just everyone on their own journey. So to me, it kind of brings back the original Heartland vibe. So I have liked this season overall.
Yeah, I have too. And I think maybe when sadly the actor who played Finn passed away, I think that kind of threw them and they didn't kind of know what to kind of do. And so 17 was just kind of like, well, we'll try this and we'll try this and we'll try this and see what people like. And that's sort of how it felt.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, this season, I agree with you. I think that it's been particularly nice to see them give Lou something to do.
Hmm.
She's made mistakes, she's had different, things, as opposed to she's just gonna complain a lot about Peter, or like really her being mayor was not that interesting. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know so that's been particularly good.
Hmm.
um well, our first episode that we're talking about today is called World on a String, and it is Amy works with a horseback riding falconer whose horse is not getting along with her beloved trained hawk. Lou discovers the secret Katie's been hiding about her creative writing class.
Hmm.
So overall, what do you think about this episode?
I thought it was good overall. I liked the overall drama with Amy, Lou, and Nathan. Um, the thing I didn't like about it, and I listened to your guys' thing, and I know you guys aren't a huge fan of the Katie storyline, and I agree too. I
Yeah.
like what they were doing with her character, and I was like kind of excited that they were going to do like a writing storyline, but then it was just kind of weird. I'm like, what creative writing class would be 18 and older? That didn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. Like, the only way I could see it making sense is if they were like writing erotica or something like mature, that would be inappropriate. But they weren't. They were like talking about like coming of age stories and Catcher in the Rye, and like it
Yeah.
didn't make any
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, I agree.
you know and so that's definitely been the weakest part of this season.
Hmm.
And because it just doesn't feel like, I thought that they what they were going to do is they were going to have her like start a love interest in there, but maybe that would just be too dark, too like
Yeah, I
mm,
don't know.
creepy or something for Heartland to, for
Hmm.
someone to be dating a minor. That would be a little weird. But like, I don't know, at least that would be a little more logical than just like my teacher's upset. I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then her getting upset at Lou.
Hmm.
So we have this Rhiannon coming, that her father was a falconer, and she's trying to keep that legacy. Just when you think they couldn't think of a new thing to do with the horses, they always do.
No, this is brand new. Like I never
Yeah.
would have expected this.
And you have Erie, the falcon, and
Mhm.
Sword, the horse. They're not getting along.
Yeah, classic Heartland story right here.
Did you think that was pretty good? A pretty good one?
Yeah, yeah. I thought the getting the hawk was just something they haven't done on the show before, and there's some nice scenery and shots used with
Yeah.
it. I mean, I never thought a hawk and a horse had any type of relationship with each other until I watched this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they lose Erie at a certain point and they have to go out and try to find him and
mhm.
Nathan helps with that. And so then they have this whole conversation. Can we put a fence around our relationship? I
That's
don't know.
that's like a Hallmark thing.
Yeah. It,
The
it,
yeah. Yeah.
it does feel like somewhat when calls the Heartsian, with the love
Yeah,
triangles and the
I could
things going on. Yeah.
yeah. And not to the extreme that when Calls the Heart went though.
No, no.
No. Which is
So Tim, he's feeling a little bit discouraged. The rodeo school, the guys don't have a very good attitude, and he's just feeling discouraged. And he had this experience with on the radio on not on the radio, but what do you call it? Play by
now
play. Play by
yeah.
play. Yeah. Of the rodeo with Jack. And now those guys, the network wants him to come up and do it.
Mhm.
Do the rodeo, play by play. And he's really tempted. They're making him a really good offer. What do you think about this with Tim?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I feel like we've seen it before. Like we've seen him get an offer. I think at one point he got like an offer to go to Texas to coach, I want to
Yes.
say. So it is kind of a repeat, but I like that they're kind of giving Tim something new. I mean, I like what they've done with Tim these past few seasons and how he's grown. I did kind of wonder, does the actor kind of like want to take like a step back on the show, and that's why they're doing this? It's not really clear. And they
It
wasn't
does kind of make you wonder. I mean, we talked to Chris Potter before this season. Of course, he didn't tell us anything like that,
Mhm,
but you have to imagine that he wouldn't want to like a complete break
mhm.
from Heartland. That would be shocking. That in this could be a way. Like if he had a job, this could be a way for him to like feasibly be in like one episode a season or two episodes or something like that. Kind of
Yeah,
play the Peter game. You know,
yeah, maybe. But like, I
maybe.
just feel like it would just be kind of like random though, too. Like,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind the scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
I can see the temptation in him wanting to, just being flattered. I can see
Mhm.
why, especially for someone
Yeah.
like him,
Hmm.
who isn't usually treated with that much respect.
No,
So to
I mean,
be kind of
yeah,
wined and dined would be very flattering.
that's a good point, especially because, Jack's looked at it with such like a positive light, and Hudson,
Yeah.
he can't do anything wrong, and Tim hasn't gotten that attention, so I could definitely see that.
Hmm. So then we find out that Crown Shoppers wants to replace Price with Heartland.
Hmm.
So even though Lou accidentally spilled the beans about the Alzheimer's, it's now coming to be in their benefit,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
feels a little skeevy, feels a little like that they're benefiting from exposing this secret, feels a little not good.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings on this whole plot line. On one hand, I understand Lou wanting to do the best for the business, and even earlier on in the season, I was kind of like agreeing with her methods and getting the bison in there. All that was good, but then they kind of had her kind of resort back to her old ways, with just like not being able to keep a secret, which was kind of a bummer. But I don't think I hate it as much because it's more like tied into like the family aspect of it all and like the business side. So I don't know. It's interesting though.
Yeah, I mean, and she does, I think in the next episode is where she says something like he shouldn't have kept it a secret, that was unwise, which is true.
Hmm.
But if she's, and then also, I don't know if more care could have been given to make sure that Lou is aware of the like confines of the secret. Like, who knows this knowledge? Obviously she doesn't know, and so that's makes her make this mistake. And we've all had those moments in life where it's like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said that. Darn it.
Yeah.
That slipped out. And so I do feel some empathy for her. But yeah, it still doesn't feel quite right for them to have gotten these spoils because of it. I think that's where it is, that oh no, now they're gonna get the because she did this. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So Nathan and Amy have this little picnic, and there's like an almost kiss. They get pretty close,
Mm.
and then she tells him about that Lou told, I lost my appetite. Nathan. I mean, how do you feel about Nathan? Where are you at on? Are you team Nathan, or are you holding out hope for Caleb?
Um, that's interesting because I feel like Caleb hasn't really been given a fair shot in the grand scheme of things to
Yeah,
actually be a partner for her. Like Nathan's been in every episode. They're clearly building a story with him. Caleb's just kind of in and out. So it's hard for me to believe that they'll actually have them be together. So
yeah.
that's
I was thinking that maybe that would be the case with the plane episode, where they show him like he's a
Mhm.
pilot, he's all hot,
Yeah.
he's helping save the day. Like I was like, oh wow, but then now he's moved, and so now I'm
Yeah.
not feeling it as
I
much.
don't think it's super likely. I do like Nathan. I definitely more this season than last season because the way
Yeah.
they introduced him was kind of weird. But I'm liking them this season. They're growing on me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love the actor Spencer Lord. He was in a movie called Mixed Baggage that I loved
Hmm.
last year, and he's very charming. But it felt like in season 17 that he wasn't allowed to be charming. He was just kind of like grumpy, and like
Yeah,
there wasn't really any kind of anything to hang your hat on with him. Like he was just they've at least tried this season to give him some more tender moments so that you like his character more.
yeah. Especially next episode's moment with Lyndy, which I feel like was like
Right.
needed to make us like
Yeah.
him more.
Yeah.
It's also been very much like one step forward, two steps back with them. So it's kind of hard to know where they stand.
Yeah. It's true.
So,
And they haven't like we haven't had a kiss yet,
oh,
right?
no piss.
No kiss yet. So
No,
we're
that's
just
always
waiting.
it's always an end of the season thing. It's never gonna happen before then.
Yeah. I know.
Never.
Of course. So Katie is considering going to this fine arts school in Vancouver. She's mom wouldn't do it in a million years. I don't really understand why she thinks that. I mean, her dad is living there,
Mhm.
so she has a place to stay and a father there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Lou is a super close-minded person. I mean, she was mayor, she's lived in New York, like she's lived in Dubai. I mean, I feel like she is pretty open-minded. It's not like she's some like closeted,
Yeah.
small town person that you have to be in Hudson.
I mean, she even says like I'll consider it. It's like she wasn't gonna shut out the possibility.
Yeah.
But I
So I
also
think
think
Katie's wrong on that,
no,
thinking her mom.
I think she's just very hard on Lou. And while I do have issues with Lou, I really think she's trying her best to be a mother. And I think she has like really grown in that department for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Nathan confronts them at Heartland Ranch and gives them the notice of termination for the Big River lease. You have to move all the animals in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a big moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he says, "Do you think we can put a fence on our relationship?" No, you
No,
can't.
not at this point, no.
You can't evict my family and expect to fall in love with me. Like, that's just not gonna work.
No, there's no fencing at this point.
No
All or
fencing.
nothing. It's all or
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they find Erie, and evidently it's the rope that she's using with Sword that's making Erie upset.
Yeah, news to me. I don't know how.
Yeah, I guess. So Amy figures it out, which is brilliant, of course. And so Lou is upset with Katie and asks, and so then Katie talks to Jasmine about Vancouver, and basically, like, uh, Jasmine says, like, we can't be like friends anymore because what you did, like, could get me
Mhm.
into big trouble, and just, and so she says to her mom, like, Jasmine talked to me like I was a real artist.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I guess, that makes it feel phony is that I don't think that in any world that Jasmine would have not done that if she had known that she was mentoring a student,
Mhm.
like, maybe it would be a different club, a different group, but or one-on-one or whatever. If she had just come up to her the first day and been like, "Hey, so I'm 16 or however old she's supposed to be. I'm
Mhm.
16, but I really like this class. Is there any way I could come, or do you have a different class or whatever?" I'm sure they could have worked out something. But you know, I understand her wanting to feel like a grown up. I remember feeling that way, and you certainly could speak to that as a young person. But, like, I just don't think that Jasmine would have treated her any differently if she had known that she's her age.
No, I don't think so. And once again, I don't think it makes much sense for it to be an 18 and older class with the content they were like doing.
No.
And like, so what's that saying to young writers that if you're under 18, you can't learn, like you can't be a part of anything. That's just
Yeah.
weird to me. Like that would not happen in
Right.
life unless they were like doing like really raunchy stuff. Like
Right.
that would be the only exception, but that's not the case at all. I'm
No.
like it didn't make any sense to me.
No. Like, we literally are talking about coming of age stories. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's gonna have a really raunchy coming of age story in this club.
Right. Tim says, "I want to show Nathan Price he didn't punish us, he motivated us." So they're going to be getting other land. And then Tim also says to Jack, "I'm disappointing you, but I'm always disappointing you."
Yeah.
That was, oh, our
Mhm.
guy.
Yeah. Oh, bad for him, yeah.
Yeah. So I forget who said, I think it's Jack who says, I can't remember. It says, "Life can't be divided into sections. You're a businesswoman, a rancher, a mother. I don't know how you're going to keep Nathan separate." Forget who
I,
says that. Or was
I
that
think it was
Lou?
Tim. I,
Tim. Okay. Tim.
yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember.
I mean,
But
he's right.
but yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's true. Like, I mean, especially if you're, like, if you want to have an actual relationship, like, where you could potentially get married,
Hmm.
with, like, how could you possibly separate when you literally live in your job? Like, her job is right there, like, in her house, like, it's not like, I don't know, maybe other jobs where there's like a clear separation. I go to work, maybe you could
Yeah.
segment it, but not this.
Yeah, I agree.
So then, Lou finds out about this whole thing because she is going to the library to pick up Katie and finds her with Jasmine. She freaks out.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's when she says, Jasmine talked to me like I was a real artist. And so then Amy, she says, you're a good man, Nathan Price. Don't be a stranger.
That was just kind of funny, and I know it wasn't supposed to be funny. I just
Yeah.
chuckled at that.
It was funny, and it was like, what does she want him to do? I think that they could do a little bit better job of like showing what's going on with Amy.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah,
I'm a
and
little confused.
and these people, it's the same thing with When Calls the Heart. Like, you need to communicate with each other. And they're really not. They're
No.
dancing around what actually matters.
Yeah.
Kind of annoying, especially when they're in their like early 30s, right? I would assume. Like, you're a bit old to be like dancing around this type of stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and especially someone like her who has a daughter at a certain point, like it's one thing if you're like, it's one thing if you're like 18 in college, like, or just those really immature years starting to figure out, oh, do I want to get married? Do I want to whatever? But like, I feel like once you're older, it's like, let's get this done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, what you like, what you want, what you are at a certain point. And certainly Amy does.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I know all of this family drama makes everything more complicated than it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But one of these two need to just like make a move. Either Amy or Nathan. Make a move.
Yeah. Well, we know that on both shows the Nathans have the trouble of making moves, so the consistent theme.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah. And so then we have Lou and Katie talking, and this is why you didn't want me to know, Jasmine. You didn't want to get caught. And then she tells her about the school, and then then Amy says, I'm heartbroken, and says, I'm not ready to forgive you yet. She's still upset with Lou. And then you have the struggling doesn't mean you failed your dad. It just means he raised a determined daughter. So this is to the owner of Erie and Sword.
That just means,
yeah. And Katie's grounded. She's grounded.
Yeah.
3 weeks. And this is when Katie tells Lou she wants to transfer to the art school in Vancouver. And Lou's like, okay, I'll consider it.
Yeah, but she's like, that doesn't change the fact that you're grounded, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she handled that pretty well, I thought.
Yeah.
Lou, and she didn't overreact like she usually does. So.
My dad, this is so funny. He had this song that he would sing when we were grounded. This whole grounded marked with a coward's bell. And it was always so embarrassing. I'm like, not only are we grounded, but you're singing this whole song.
Gosh.
That's what made me think of when I saw this. I'm like, Lou should sing the grounded song.
No way.
Yeah. So anyway, so then Jack goes to see Nathan's dad. So that's kind of the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And so this was a pretty good one. A little too much Katie drama, but other than that, it was pretty good. We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch, the new clean, uplifting romance and entry in the Teacher Project by writer Anna Grace. Award-winning author Anna Grace is back with another installment in her heartwarming series, The Teacher Project. 5 teachers are recruited to revive a high school in the tiny cantankerous town of Pronghorn, Oregon, shaking up the community and creating friendships to last a lifetime. In Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch, Nashville lawyer Harlow Jameson returns to Pronghorn to find big changes to her little town and new faces, including Vander Torn, a gorgeous teacher and cowboy in training. Harlow is roped into helping with the holiday pageant, and Vander's showing her a whole new side of Pronghorn and herself. But is a picture-perfect Christmas season enough to bridge the gap between the city girl and her sweet cowboy? Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch has been called the perfect Christmas read by early reviewers and is available at all the major retailers and online. You can use the affiliate link below. That's Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch by Anna Grace. We know you'll love it. Okay, so then we had Throwing Your Hat in the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, tensions boil over when Heartland and Price Beef face off at the Hudson Farmers Market and Lyndy disappears. Logan is challenged at his first solo clinic. Shane makes a surprise visit and finds he has to make a difficult life decision. So what do you think of this episode?
I would say I like this one a little more than the last one.
Mhm.
I like the farmers market drama, the little girl going missing, such like a classic story, and then of course
Yeah.
like the love interest comes in to save the day, and then like bright in the family's eyes. So
Yeah.
I liked all of that.
Well, it's
Um,
nice to have Shane back. I really
it
like
is,
Shane.
yeah, it was nice, but I wish they like gave him a little bit more. Like I don't know.
I wish that Shane and Chloe would move to Hudson. I wouldn't
Mm.
mind them being permanent new cast members.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I don't think they would, but we'll see.
I don't know. I like them. I like both those actors. They're really fun.
I mean, I feel like we'll definitely see them with the announcement that happens. So we'll see them again.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it was a pretty good episode. I think anybody who has kids or has, in my case, I have nieces and things, and anybody who's watched kids can have empathy for both Amy and Lou in the situation, because kids do sometimes wander, and everybody's had a moment where you're like, I can't find my kid. Oh my gosh,
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
I don't know if you ever had anything like that where you wandered off, got lost.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I could understand, especially when Lou has got so many things that she's looking after. It's not like she's there to watch Lyndy, and
Mm,
so it's the whole family is supposed to be watching Lyndy, and
yeah.
Lyndy gets so upset about all the fighting.
I mean that's real, but like I
Yeah,
feel like she should have just went to the sitter for the day, the babysitter.
yeah. She probably should have. And I get that, because I also really, really get super uncomfortable with conflict. I am not great at it in dealing with it, or so I
Mhm.
can relate to Lyndy that moment of being like,
Yeah.
let's just go somewhere. I mean, where she should have obviously was in the wrong was she should have just told her family, I'm going over to the park or whatever, but
Yeah.
she just felt like they were fighting too much,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. So we also have Logan doing this whole clinic. He's starting this clinic, working with, and Amy's trying to help him. They only have one man with a horse named Axel coming, and Logan works with Axel, and he's able to help Axel. He doesn't want to be saddled. He's very jumpy, and he's able to work with Axel, and he feels like, okay, this is just not really working very well, and by the end of the episode he says he's going to go and do what do they call it,
Colt starting.
cult starting. He's going to go on the circuit. And how do you feel about Logan and his story arc this season?
Yeah, I mean, just like Katie, like I kind of struggle with Logan too, and even like last season too. I felt like once they tried to give him his own storyline, I got less interested in him. Like I liked him when he was like helping Amy, and Amy was kind of mentoring him. But
Yeah,
once they introduced the thing with him and Miley, it was just weird. And then this season in particular, he's just been like complaining like every episode and just being
yeah,
very like just bad mood all the time. It got very frustrating. And it would have been one thing if it was like 1 or 2 episodes and then he got over it, but it just kept going.
Yeah.
And like that's not like a very like attractive quality for a character. So
Yeah, I agree because he's upset about not getting the truck from Tim. He's upset about Miley's parents, even though it's like, were they judgy at all? Like we didn't really see that, but he's
see that.
upset. And you're supposed to like be building this relationship, but we haven't gotten to know Miley really at all,
Mm-mm.
hardly at all. And so, oh yeah, you're right. He has just kind of been Mr. Complainer this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably good that we're taking a little break from Logan. He's going to go off and do his cult starting.
Yeah, he's been kind of annoying. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
bummer because I want to like the young cast like arcs, but for some
Yeah,
reason this season that's kind of been the miss. Is
it's
like both
true.
of their storylines.
It's true. Like we haven't had like a Georgie or
Mhm.
somebody that we're or Mallory that we're really really rooting for and invested in.
Yeah, I mean I liked Katie with like the dirt bikes. That was cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Although we laughed at her getting all that courage for that big jump, which
oh
was
yeah,
like
it was just like a little
nothing.
pile of dirt.
It
Yeah.
was a little pile of dirt.
Like I don't think that takes all that much, but
No.
you go, girl.
Yeah. It was really
Yeah.
funny. Uh,
Yeah.
so then we have Shane. He's been offered this spot in Philadelphia to be a partner in a law firm,
Hmm.
and he's debating about what to do, whether to take the job. And this is another reason why, speaking of the young people, like why this would be a good reason to have Shane and Chloe go on the show is because they could be like a younger couple that we could be invested in their
Yeah.
story, especially if she's going to have a baby, which he finds out here.
Hmm.
And yeah, and that was also part of the reason why they lost Lyndy was because they got distracted from because Shane passed out,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tricky thing because you you obviously have to be dedicated to your job and provide for a family and but knowing how much of that to give versus how much to give for your family and balancing and making like it's a tough thing.
I don't remember where they said Chloe was her job was at. I guess like in a different location than his. So I guess that would be an issue.
mm.
I don't remember though.
I think that I can't remember if they oh yeah, was that a part of it that they would be moving they'd be moving apart from each other? I thought that I can't remember that,
No,
but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know like where he was at before. Like was he at Philly this whole time and then he just got this, or is this a new job?
I think it's a new job.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then they would both have to move. And I thought that they said something about Chloe would move, but maybe
Yeah,
I can't remember for
I
sure.
don't know. Hmm.
But it's tough and I can understand why that would be very difficult because also when you're the age that Logan is, like everybody has to pay dues in whatever career you're picking.
Hmm.
Uh, you I whether it's those early days in your residency when you're trying to become a doctor, like it's brutal. And it's the same thing those early years trying to become partner in law firm, it's brutal. Like whatever career you're trying to do, those early everybody pays the dues but nevertheless like you still want to be some kind of a presence in your family. So finding that balance, I think, would be very difficult, would be hard. And I was lucky because my dad, he pretty much my whole life he worked from home, and so my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked from home, and so the two of them were almost always present
Hmm.
in some way. My dad worked really crazy hours. He was basically like a salesman for computer labs, so he worked really really hard, but he was there a lot,
Hmm.
and so I was lucky in that way. But it's a tough thing, and you want to be present in both your parents' lives,
Right. Agreed.
So I could
Mhm.
see why Shane's getting pretty stressed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but they have been approved as the burger vendor of the farmers at the farmers market. And the
Hmm.
thing is, so then uh Nathan shows up, uh also giving away free burgers. And I don't think that the farmers market would allow this. If they truly had an exclusive, I don't think that they would allow him to have a booth.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the farmers market rules are in this show or in real life. I don't
I
know.
don't know. It just seems like if you had committed to somebody being the exclusive burger vendor, it wouldn't matter if they're free or then that's still exclusive. But nevertheless, that's what happens. And Lou gets very upset. She gets very, very competitive. And there's the battle of the burgers.
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, what would be your ideal burger? If you, what do you think is the perfect burger?
You're that I mean, that's interesting. I what is it called? Out in the box? Yeah, the out of the box, like where you live out there.
Oh,
And you
In and Out.
not out of the box, in and out, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
In and
I
Out.
love their
Yeah,
burgers.
they're
Um,
really good.
But I mean, I'm one who I don't like necessarily all the toppings as much. I mean, cheese. I do love bacon on mine. Like that's like a
Mm.
must if I'm getting it. But I usually put like ketchup, mustard, mayo, um, but not like tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes
Oh,
so
you don't
much.
like tomatoes?
No, I
For
don't.
for me, my In and Out order is a double double with extra lettuce and grilled onions.
Okay.
That's my ideal
Extra
burger.
lettuce. Huh.
Extra lettuce. Yeah, I like it. Extra lettuce.
Uh,
Uh, but uh, but I also do like bacon. They don't have bacon in and Out, but
um,
yeah, that's good.
yeah, bacon's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to go in and Out for the burger, and then go to McDonald's for the fries
Yeah,
because
that's
they don't
true.
have good
McDonald's
fries at
has the
In and
best
Out.
fries. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I liked the moment when Katie says staying at home, but you're writing an evil mom story. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And Lou thinks that Shane should take the job. Tim is more hesitant, which is ironic because he's considering taking this job. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting how both father and son were like on this parallel like journey of deciding whether to take the job or not.
yeah,
Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then we have the let's see what else. There's more going on with Logan saddling the Axel. Amy's like, don't rush, kind of a thing. And then we get this fight between Jack and Tim, and Jack's making fun of Tim's hat, and they're going back and forth. And Lyndy gets upset about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's her breaking point. She's done.
And she goes, and that's when Shane passes out, and that's why things get so crazy. Lindy's lost. They call Amy. Amy is very upset, and how could you lose? How could you lose my daughter? Valid, totally get it, but we've all been there when kids get lost.
I mean, to me, I feel like that was like an excuse for Amy just to unleash everything on Lou. Like
Yeah,
she hadn't had a moment to do that, and she just decided to do it there. I mean, I get panic, like the panic is valid, but also like the whole family should be responsible for it, not just
yeah,
Lou.
right.
So,
Yeah. So Nathan finds Lyndy. It's his hero moment.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And this is, I didn't think anybody would notice. Is what Lyndy says.
Yeah.
Oh. So then Katie's talking to Jasmine. This is what I was referencing earlier. She's talking to Jasmine. She says, I've always been a bit of an old soul. And then Jasmine says, I can't continue a friendship that started with such a lie.
Yeah, but the 18 and older shouldn't have been a role to begin with.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I mean,
It's
I understand where Jasmine's coming from.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So then Lyndy says, I hate when my family fights. And she's upset. And then uh we have this whole thing with sounds like Nathan saved the day here, and you're too caught up in the beef drama with and that's what Amy says. And then Jack goes and talks to Nathan.
mhm.
And then we have the let's see here. So then Shane, he says that sometimes you have to take a step back but to get a step forward, and no one ever feels ready for parenting. If you choose family, you can never go wrong. So that's what Tim says.
Yeah, that hit me in the feels right there.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was great. It shows like how much he's learned from the mistakes he's made, and the fact
Yeah,
that just to have that moment with his son was like really like sweet.
it really was. It was
Yeah,
very sweet. I like the chemistry between Shane and Tim. It's nice.
yeah, it's really good. Yeah,
Mhm. And so then Jack, he's there not as a business rival. He's just there as a friend.
yeah.
And Lou says, I've been consumed with the business. And so then Shane turns down the partnership. So he is another hero moment for, for Shane. It's all going to be okay. And then Jack says, that's after Tim says that it's all going to be okay. Sage advice, you might want to listen to it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Amy comes down. They're having like a picnic with Nathan and his dad, and she sits down and they eat dinner together. And so that's how the episode ends.
Hey, they
And
had a meal together. That's more than Elizabeth and Nathan did. So,
yeah, it's true. So there we go. That is these two episodes. Let us know what you think of these episodes in the uh oh yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah, I was it took me a second to be like, Elizabeth. Oh yeah, Elizabeth went calls
I should have referenced the show, but
Yeah, no, it's true. They didn't have a meal together for 5 years.
I
You're
know
right.
it took them five
Absolutely.
years.
So they're making huge progress.
Huge progress. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let us know what you think of these two episodes and how you think the season's going to wrap up. Michelle will
Mhm.
be back for our next recap for our final for the last two episodes of the season. And we'll be definitely curious to hear what everybody thinks and how it all finishes. And so if people want to follow you on socials and things like that, how do they do that?
Yeah, so I have a channel, the Wimpy Studio, which I actually review Heartland episode by episode. So if you're looking for more coverage of it, you can check me out. But mostly I just review books, TV shows, movies is my type of thing. So I would really appreciate it if you went over and subscribed. And
Yeah.
then Instagram, I have a Wimpy Studio Instagram too that's connected with my YouTube. So those are like
Okay.
my two main ways.
We'll put that all in the description. People definitely should check it out. And
Mhm.
you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And make sure you check out our entire playlist with all of our Heartland content, including interviews with practically everybody in the cast. So take a look at that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us, especially this time of the year, to be able to come up on more search engines and things like that. So please, please, please leave your ratings and reviews. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers are not subscribers. And so if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm a lot, and like the video. And if you could check out our Patreon, we have lots of cool perks for being a patron, including part of watch-alongs every month and other activities and other benefits. We try to make it really worth your while. And we have the merch store where we do have some Heartland inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks so much for doing this. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.